The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Steve and Terry here with our monthly webinar that is entitled Great Team Meetings. Welcome. Good morning, Terry. I think maybe Terry might not be. Terry might be on mute. So I'm going to take this opportunity.
No, there I am. Good morning,
okay.
everyone. I think that this is a great topic because most entrepreneurs, because they don't have to report to anyone, usually try to wing it with team meetings. They show up without a proper plan. And I think what happens is because we don't have to hit a deadline. I mean, if we had to meet with our banker, or we had to meet with our attorney, or meet with our top customers, or even our partner relationships, we would put more time and effort into something than just showing up with the people that we're responsible for. And if we can find a way to be as disciplined about being in front of our staff as we are with being in front of the other people that I mentioned, this could be really powerful. Steve, do you want to elaborate on this?
Well, I sometimes think, first of all, it's very true. And I think that part of it is because we feel like we work with our own teams all the time. And as an entrepreneur, you think, if I've thought it, I've shared it, therefore we don't take the extra time to prepare for a meeting with our own team the way we would with a extended partner. For example, in our world, it would be being with our sales team, being with our internal team, versus being with the Paul Mitchell, the Davines, etc. The Paul Mitchell meeting would get more time and attention and preparation than would our staff. And clearly, I think there's two reasons. First of all, we're not with our manufacturers or our business partners as much as we are our everyday team. And second of all, usually there's a agenda or a topic that is either requested or announced, and the meeting has a deadline. We know it's going to be on this day from this time to this time, and we need to show up, we need to be ready, we need to be prepared, and we know it. And I think that, as Terry said, all of those things, I can absolutely be guilty as charged. Because I do think that when it comes to speaking in front of our company, I'm always, in my mind, ready at any time. That doesn't mean I'm ready to deliver a great meeting. And, and I've definitely failed at that before because of that. Because I think that the people that you're in front of deserve you to be at your best and to have your thoughts organized and have an agenda and follow that agenda versus just winging it. Even though winging it can be, there's people that are really, really good at winging it. Terry?
I don't even know what to say about that. That's so opposite me. I don't like wing it at all. But you wing it and come out smelling like a rose, and so that's why sometimes we're not covering what we need to do, when we need to do it, how we need to do it enough. So let's do why meetings anyway. First of all, the main thing is to get current, to make sure we're all on the same page, that we're beating to the same drum. And when there is absence of that, you start to have people interpret your business versus the way you want it delivered. You want to catch up as a team without guests present. That's really huge. I mean, when there's a guest in the room, everyone knows the focus goes on the guest. So when they're not guests present, you really have an opportunity to be absolutely connected and with your team 100%. And that's why you want to catch up in that capacity. You want to identify any potential risks and threats, meaning what's the risk? Weather could be a risk. No-shows could be a risk. Lack of confirmations and being able to reach the customer could be a risk. How are we going to respond to those risks and threats? So we talk about those in advance and say, these things could happen, this is how we're going to respond. And the next one, which I want Steve to spend time on, is reinforce the mission of why we're here and why we did this in the first place.
Well, I think that every single time that you gather with your team, that needs to be on the top of your mind as the leader, as the founder, as the visionary in your company. That it's often said that the visionary or the leader, the founder of the company, loses interest or gets tired of saying why they did it long before your team who joined you gets tired of hearing it. And so it almost becomes that central core that frames everything that you're going to do from there on out. So your people need to hear that mission. They need to feel like the meeting today is going to be within that spirit and within those boundaries and guidelines. Why did we do it? Why did you start your salon? Why did you start your school? Why did you start your business? And what are the key factors in doing that? And what's our team mission? What is it that? How will we know it's done? How will we know that we have accomplished or are accomplishing in concert with our mission?
Well, I think you also need to say, I'm very pleased with this, and these are the things I need attention on. And attention could be the way that we've started just making the donuts versus delivering extraordinary customer service. Reinforce the mission. I don't want it to be a technical operation. I want it to be service that complements the technical talent. It could be all those things, but you have to say and state what you're seeing, because really you're the visionary, so you have to state what you see and what you're asking for. The other next thing is to announce any changes that are going to take place. Effective this date, we're going to be doing this, and this is how I need all of you in. And announce change kind of goes along with diffuse the fear and the drama. Change can sometimes create conversation in a back room. Change could mean fear. So let's say we're having a price increase and the fear is I'm going to lose all my customers. So we got to diffuse that and be able to help them understand that this is the direction the company is going. Yesterday I was talking to an owner, and she said, you know, I've got people stating to me, I make the same as everyone else. And their fear or drama is they didn't realize that the commission is always exactly the same. But this girl charges $10 more in a haircut, $10 more in color. So she isn't making the same because her prices are higher. But you've got to be able to diffuse the fear and drama. In that situation, we have to have the right dialogue to say, yes, the commission structure is exactly the same, but the pricing isn't the same. And this young lady, because of the fear and the drama of it, was creating negative chatter in another area of the business. When you can lay something like this out on the table where you're not allowing those backroom conversations to live back there, you put them right out front and center, that will mean I'm not going to tolerate it, I'm bringing it up, and this is my statement on it, enough said. Steve?
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing, and probably the two most important things, is to celebrate and laugh. And you want to celebrate the victories. You want to celebrate, because we already talked about the changes that we needed. We talked about fear and drama. We want to reinforce the mission. And we want to help them understand where we're going. But we also need to celebrate what is right. And you probably want to close and make sure that you find a way, and we're going to give you some ideas to create rituals to celebrate, but you need to laugh. Now, here's a weakness of mine. I mean, I love to laugh, but I don't like to laugh. I have a hard time laughing when the work isn't getting done. That's where I struggle. Like, these are our weaknesses, so how can we laugh at that right now? And so I struggle with this, and I've got to put them in different buckets. It doesn't mean when you laugh together that you're not taking the threats or the potential risk or us not coming through where we need to do or we need to be lightly. It's just that I need to laugh too, and so I struggle. That's a big one for me in meetings. And if you're ever in a meeting with me, you'd see it, and you'd be like, why are you so uptight about this? Because I feel like laughter diminishes the problems that we have to solve, and that's a problem I have. I don't know if any of you are like that. It's like with our kids. As soon as we laugh, okay, we're not in trouble anymore. No, you're still in trouble. I just laughed for a second. They think everything's fine, and they don't have to learn that lesson any longer.
I think
I don't know if that makes sense.
Teresa, I think business, just like raising children, is that there are things that sometimes get in our way in business. There's sometimes things that get in the way of every day being completely happy with everything that your child is doing, or for that matter, everything your team's doing. But I think that laughter always helps.
Yes, it does. You're right.
I think, while you may struggle with it, I think it always helps. I think laughter can help us find a solution. Laughter can help us find middle ground. Laughter gives off a great energy. And I think that as leaders, we certainly need to be able to laugh at ourselves. So when we can laugh at ourselves and with our team, we're moving forward in a very special way, because even though there may be a problem or a handful of problems that are in front of us that maybe you've addressed earlier on, at the same time, there's a lot going right. There's a lot going right, or you wouldn't be in the situation you are. And sometimes it's the ability to see that at the same time that you're seeing ways that you can improve. That's the curse and blessing of leadership.
Well, but that's a real strength of yours. I mean, as soon as it gets tense, you know to create laughter. I just think sometimes
it's called survival.
Okay.
That was kind of fun.
So, yeah, it is. It's called survival. I agree. I'm telling you, I'm hoping they can relate. Some of them are going to relate to the way you do that and respond, and how I do, and then I need help on that area, because I just think everyone thinks the how do I want to say it? The matters at hand that could make us great are just swept under the rug. And as long as we can come back and say, and don't forget, let's laugh together, but let's not forget the things that we have to be responsible for as well. Okay. So goals. Always discuss the number one goals you're working on. And I put the quality control checks here because I thought it was really important that we've got to be talking about, and how are we doing, and what's the scoreboard on increasing traffic, or increasing the service dollar per guest, or increasing the take-home dollar per guest, increasing the reschedule percentage. When you think about those four areas, really, those are the quality control checks if a business is growing. And not only overall as a salon, but individually as a service provider. So we need to be discussing these and make sure that we're focusing on this with ideas to make a difference in these stats. I love these four, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, where we can go with that.
Well, Terry, could you back up 1 second, please?
Sure.
Anytime that we're in front of our people and we're talking about goals, we also have to portray a sense of urgency. It is urgent that we accomplish these things. It's urgent that we focus and increase traffic. It's urgent that we increase the service dollar per guest. Why? Because to the degree that we deliver extraordinary service, the guest will trust us with more of their money. It's our scoreboard. It's our way of knowing if we're delivering extraordinary service. So we should be urgent about it. It's kind of like the stat in pro football where an inordinate amount of points, I think it's either 60 or 70% of the points in a half are scored in the final 2 minutes of the half and in the final 2 minutes of the game. And that's because there's a clear, I'm going to win or I'm going to lose, and it's urgent. The time clock is going to go down to zero. Mm-hmm. So, that urgency, I think leaders are in charge of urgency. And so it's not urgency panic, because we've seen that in football too. If a team panics, they're going to lose. But they're still urgent to accomplish, urgent to do the right thing, to execute perfectly. And that's something that as leaders we can be responsible to lead the charge. Our job is to put people in a position to win.
Okay. The next one is what you need to do ahead of time, is you need to plan. You need to plan what your topics are going to be. And if you want to, it'd be really nice if you created some kind of agenda or a time frame or a template, that's a better word, for you to conduct your meetings. And I put on here, reference your need log. There's many times that we will journal or take notes throughout or in between meetings during the week or during the month, and then we're thinking, gosh, I wanted to cover something. Gosh, what was that thing I wanted to cover? If it's written down somewhere and you put in next meeting, you can just reference your notes, and then you almost can create an agenda right from your need log. This is key. They should get a handout of an agenda, and it also, I would create a 3-ring binder. Now, we don't do this in our company, but I think it would be a great thing, so we can say, let's turn back to when we were together 3 weeks ago and we covered this topic. If they had these agendas in a 3-ring binder and they could take notes on it, they'd be able to see, and there's almost a record of accomplishment, because sometimes people say, well, what did we change? What did we do this year? Well, we've done a lot, actually, but everyone can't think of those things in the moment. So you've got to have planning time. Yes?
This is something that absolutely is done in the school world. We have to keep a binder of all meetings. So in other words, to be accredited, we have to say this is how we meet, this is when we meet. And so our management meetings or our team meetings all have an agenda that they follow. Now the items in those agendas, in each agenda can change. But we're going to talk about attendance. We're going to talk about traffic. We're going to talk about dollar per guest. We're going to talk about those people that are graduating. We're going to talk about those people that just came in through core. And there's things that happen. Those topics are honored every single meeting. And then it's kept in a binder so that what was talked about, there's someone that takes notes on it, and what was talked about stays, so that if Erin's on vacation at this management meeting, she can come back and immediately reference the management meeting notes, and it's right there in the binder.
All right. So this is a good example of entrepreneurship at the top of its voice.
I'm going to get busted here. I just know it.
Well, tell me what. What am I going to say?
Why didn't I bring it here?
Yes, and one of the reasons you're doing it there is why? Because
I have to.
That's exactly right. So what happens is the have-tos in the school world, he doesn't have to do it at PSC, and so we don't have that discipline here. And there's a funny story one time. You guys all know that I think I'm Barbra Streisand, right? So Funny Girl is my favorite movie of all time, and there's a scene in there where she's fighting with Ziegfeld, and he's saying something, and she goes, what? No one's ever argued with the landlord? And sometimes I call Steve the landlord because he started the company and everything else, and if I don't agree with him, I'll say, what? You can't. No one argues with the landlord? See, sometimes in business, because we're the boss, I'm going to go back to that, we don't live by the disciplines that are necessary for the team to grow. And I love that discipline's in the school, but it's a have to. At PSC, it would be a nice to. And from hearing it, I'm thinking, I'm going to put that in place here. I mean, that's the first time I've heard that they have to have those. Never have heard that before. But guess what? It's going to become a have to at PSC too. See, I learned in this call as well. All right, good.
See, look at that.
Isn't that nice, honey? Thank you. Now, next, let's do the list. The list is you have to start on time, and with time to gather, I missed this, and exchange pleasantries. That's what I wanted to put there. Good morning, how are you? What'd you do last night? If the meeting starts at 10 and you're still doing your welcoming for 15 minutes, you just lost a good 15 minutes of productive time. You got to start the meeting on time. So that means if they've got to get there at 9:45, and the next one, be the hostess of your own meetings, meaning is there coffee? Is there things for them so the meeting can be organized. I think about, I went to a Pampered Chef party a couple years ago, and when I walked in, everything was set up, all the places to place the order. I mean, that Pampered Chef hostess did better sometimes than I do for my staff. And so you've got to be the hostess for a great meeting. This is your time to romance and host them. So you've got to be the best host or hostess that they're around. And it also teaches them service disciplines to provide for their staff, their customers as well. Notepads or meeting books in 3-ring, we already covered that with minutes. Sometimes they show up to a meeting, have their coffee in their hand, even if it's their Starbucks, legs are crossed, body language is poor, and all of a sudden you're supposed to start a meeting. That sets me off in 2 seconds. Already I'm irritated. So give them things, and if they have an agenda, at least they'll be looking at something versus fussing around with their phone. And if they're fussing around with their phone or their coffee, that means your meetings suck, pretty much. So writing utensils, make sure they're there, end on time, stay on topic, and then facilitate with ease, hardest part. This is my weakness. That's probably why I put it there. This isn't a problem for Steve. This is mine. Because as soon as they roll their eyes or look at each other, they think you can't see that stuff, which is amazing to me. But you're doing a topic because you have and are making decisions for the entire business. They can only see the business from their viewpoint. And so you've got to facilitate with ease. And I don't have a face that does that. I mean, you can read how I feel about things immediately. And sometimes my meetings can go awry, or I feel like, that's it, I'm done, because I get resistance and I'm not even done explaining it. So, but this is something we all have to work on, especially me. Hardest part, facilitate the meeting with ease.
Ease is the hard part for you.
Ease, with ease, not me. And I hate that I'm like that. Okay, participation. We want to get people to really participate, and we need team noise, and we need opinions, and we need to ask them for input. What I have found is you've got people that won't give an opinion. Heather's one of those for us. Until I say, Heather, what are you thinking? Heather's not just going to put it out there. You've got other people like in our company, Craig or Olivia, that's going to present it without being asked upon. But Heather, you've got to bring that out. And so if you need opinions from people, go around the room and get known in yours that we're going to ask for opinions from everyone. Or green light way of thinking is, green light is just anything you can think of. Nothing is bad, nothing is ridiculous. It forces our minds to get creative. And then red light is, take all those green light ideas and what's really doable for us. What can we do? But you've got to create team noise. The last thing you want to do is be in front of your team for 45 minutes to an hour and have you do all the talking and they weren't able to present. And even if you have to force participation, maybe you give an assignment to present a topic. Maybe you want people to research the topic and team them up if necessary. So let's say I say, Heather and Libby, I'd like you to go into salons and maybe do a quick survey on this and find out what we could be doing better on this topic. So they come back. Now, in your situation, you might be saying, how is our shampoo standing up against other people in our area? Let's go out and find some ways to talk about our shampoo. What are salons doing in dialogue? What's another business that we could be emulating our take-home area? And maybe they do a whole project on Bath and Body Works, let's just say. But you assign to present a topic and research the topic and then team them up. Some of them would like to do this freestanding all by themselves, and other people are going to say, oh, we had a ball doing this together, and these are some of the ideas that we found, and these are some of the things that we're thinking could really work for us in our salon. Anything on that, Steve?
I just think Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, in order for people to share opinions and in order for them to participate, we as leaders have to create a safe environment. And sometimes we can have all of the right intentions to have that safe environment, but we can have people who show up and for whatever reason that particular day they're of a mind to criticize or to put down or to use sarcasm when other people share their ideas or roll their eyes or not pay attention or have side conversations. All of those things are things that take away trust, and they're things that can really harm participation in a meeting.
Well, it can destroy the leadership goal for that day. They could say, this doesn't feel good, so they pull back. The staff could say, this doesn't feel good, so they pull back. They could say, we always talk about ideas, but we never change anything. So let's talk about these gathering guidelines, because I think that this is a beautiful segue into this next part, is you've got to have rules for your meetings. So go into that whole part, because this is something we learned in the school culture.
Okay, and I want to give you all a place that you can go to download a copy of this if you want. In the school world, we turn this into a poster. If you've been to any of our schools, you'll see gathering guidelines on the wall as a poster or something that we live by. So where you can get that is spell out BeNiceOrElse.com. Be nice or else, all spelled out, all lowercase, BeNiceOrElse.com. And if you scroll down toward the bottom of the page, there'll be an area where you can download, I want to say about 8 different posters. And this particular one is Gathering Guidelines, Guidelines for Creating the Ultimate Staff Meeting. And so just to run through these, I want to read them, and Terry, you and I can add to it as we want.
Good.
The first one is to sit in a circle. Very difficult to do, especially as a staff gets large. But guess what? You can make a large circle. I've seen our meetings when they are in a circle, and I've seen them when they're not in a circle. And they really are better when people can easily see the other people that are speaking and each other. Second one is there are no problems, only challenges and opportunities.
All right, now please go slow, because they're probably writing. No problems.
Only challenges and opportunities.
All right, so let's give one right now. Let's say a challenge is sanitation. So how are we going to fix that in the salon? And some people might say, well, let's have a checklist. And other people say, we've tried that before. No one honors the checklist. See, this is when it can go awry quickly. Well, now we're going to say this is a challenge for us, and how are we going to get everyone on board, right?
Yes.
Good.
Absolutely.
Number 3?
So, but part of that is also creating a culture where your people believe that there are no problems. Challenges can be met. Opportunities can be seized. We can take an opportunity, and that's just it's a way of thinking that has to change. Next is there's no such thing as a complaint, only suggestions with at least 2 solutions. That's a big one, and I'm gonna slow that down. I mean, it's not a complaint. If you as a leader make sure that if someone brings you something, they bring you a suggestion, they bring you in their terms, in the old way, they bring you a complaint. Well, guess what? Who owns the complaint now? You do. They took the monkey off their back and they put it right on yours. And now if you've got 10 people that work with you, you're now living with 10 monkeys if they each brought you one. And so if you turn it around and say, okay, suggestions on what can be better, and here's 2 possible solutions. Now they have to think about it themselves. They have to have 2 possible solutions, or they can't. They're not going to bring that to you. They're not going to raise it. And I think that's really good because then it gets the participation going, and it gets the trivial stuff. So-and-so didn't clean their color bowl. So-and-so parked in my parking place. So-and-so walked right past 2 combs that were on the floor. It gets rid of the trivial stuff and allows you to pay attention to the things that are really key. So the next one is there are no dumb questions, dumb answers, or dumb ideas. That's, again, creating a culture of trust. It's really important. That thing where somebody brings something up and everybody laughs at them or thinks, oh, God, there they go again. That one always has a question out of left field.
There are no dumb questions?
There's no dumb answers, or there's no dumb ideas.
Oh, good.
The next one is criticizing, teasing, put-downs, and sarcasm are the only taboos.
Mm.
That's
Do
a
that
big
one again.
one. Criticizing, teasing, put-downs, and sarcasm are the only taboos. And that's an every meeting thing. That's why having this on a poster is important. When we first started meeting with this in the schools, we'd have people in meetings call out a number. If somebody did something, let's say somebody criticized or was putting somebody down, they'd say, number 5. And it'd be a little bit humorous, but it would be enough that would stop that. It was top of mind that we had these posters there, that we espoused these beliefs, and we wanted to be a team that didn't put each other down or create sarcasm. Number 6, it's okay to say, I don't know, or I changed my mind. And the I don't know, I think, we're probably more comfortable with. I don't know, but I can get the answer. I don't know, but let me research that. But we're probably less comfortable being able to say, I changed my mind. That's the way I used to feel about that, but I've changed my mind on that. Or I might have said this in the heat of the moment, but I've changed my mind after I had a chance to think about it. It's okay to say those things. Number 7, if you don't agree, say so and explain your thoughts. And you know what that one really is to me, number 7 is don't be passive aggressive. If you don't agree, say it in the meeting and explain your thoughts so that others can understand why you don't agree. Too many people choose not to agree, but they don't say anything. But as soon as the meeting breaks, they go down to the Starbucks and they talk about everything that they didn't agree with. And they try and create a camp of non-agreeers. So the thing is, it's okay to not agree, but you have to be able to explain your thoughts on why you don't. Number 8, it's good to have a mind of your own. Use it only when it matters. And that, I think, is for sometimes the people that want to dominate a meeting, that voice that's always heard. If everything's always a 10 level of importance, it all becomes white noise. But if you can have your own mind, meaning you can disagree, but you can't disagree with everything. You can't have your own mind. You have your own mind on everything, but you can't voice your own mind on everything and expect it to have the same amount of intensity each time. Use it when it matters. Use it for the things you're really, really passionate about. Keep asking until you really understand. That's number 9. Keep asking until you really understand. And again, that's participation. That's not just I sit here until you're done speaking. Participation is important. And you have to foster that in a meeting. Number 10 is failure is not fatal. Failure is not a person. Failure doesn't mean you failed forever. It doesn't mean you're dead in the water. It just means failure it's an event. It's something that took place, and you get up and you keep moving. If you have a meeting that failed, find a way. Look at why it failed. Look at what could have been done differently, and say, how can we go about that? It's not going to stop me. It doesn't change my mission or my vision for the company.
So failure is not
fatal.
Okay. Is that the list?
That's the list.
Okay. Now, first of all, we should have attached that during this presentation.
It's in the chat. I just looked. It's in the chat.
Oh, good. Whatever that
means.
means.
So on the right-hand side, the bar that's there where you can ask questions, down at the bottom, and it says chat, and I just clicked on the link that that Brian put in, and if you click on it, it brings up this poster.
Okay. The other thing is, I like this one voice, one person speaking at a time, and that helps. That should also be something that we live by, because sometimes if you have a group, I mean, it's not hard when 5 people are gathering, but when you've got 20 people, I spoke at a salon with, I believe, 25 people, and it was tight quarters, and I'd have 5 separate conversations going on because they liked the topic, but they were doing it privately. And sometimes they do that not because they're being disrespectful, it's because they want to say, am I on the right page here? Before I raise my hand, I want someone else in agreement. It takes a lot of confidence to put yourself out there, and that comes with maturity. And sometimes you've got people saying, have you ever felt like this? Yes. Okay, I'll raise my hand then. And they want someone else in their camp before they raise their hand. Not that they're trying to create a problem, but it appears like that. When you're facilitating something like that, it appears that way. I think because I'm a trainer, I think Steve and I, as speakers, are very, very considerate when someone else is leading a meeting. We try to really root them on and help them, because we know how much a distraction it can be when someone isn't present, when someone is somewhere else. If I have a hard time with people working on computers and taking notes on computers, because their focus appears to be on the screen versus the presenter. I just can't imagine being even in church and being able to take notes down and not looking at the pastor or the priest. I think that would be really difficult to say, hey, I'm listening, I'm here for you. It's a whole different time. It's not harder, it's just different. It's a different way of listening now. And we that are older could take that personally. I know I do. I know it's tough, because I want to see and be able to read their faces and watch their responses, having nod of approval or a tilt of the head like, I'm not sure I get that. That's easier for me to read than someone looking at a screen and typing in. So one voice is really key, and to be able to create that in your business, remember, you're going to have to say, what are our gathering guidelines? You can use this list, add to it, or use the exact same one, or create your own, right? And you might even want to present gathering guidelines as a meeting topic. The nice twos in meetings are really fun, because I think that you can create a welcoming ritual. A welcoming ritual could be something that creates energy. Some people do dances and line dancing or whatever to start getting the blood flowing and get the brain working, especially if their meetings are in the morning. But a welcoming ritual could be something that only your salon does. This is how we start a meeting. This is how we end a meeting. You know, it's something that could be uniquely yours. Whenever we're at a school event, they'll ask everyone to stand up, turn to your left, massage the shoulders in front of you, turn to the right, massage those. And it's kind of sometimes a welcoming ritual after lunch. But what are your rituals? Do you just sit down? How do you start your meetings that could be unique to you? And then a closing ritual too, which could be very much the same thing, is finding a way that we're going to root each other on. I bet if we looked at a closing ritual for some people is the way they leave a locker room. You know, they might do a chant. At one time for years we were doing a PSC chant at the beginning of our meetings and end, and they just stopped one day. I often wonder how rituals begin and how they end and fizzle out. And that's leadership that allowed that to do that. Next thing is what are your celebrations? And it could be anniversaries. It could be someone is just passed a test and they're an assistant. It could be someone just hit a milestone with a salon. It could be celebrations is we finally hit 300 new customers this year, which was our goal, so on and so forth. But what are your celebrations? And this could be part of your agenda, your template. Also awards could be best new idea, new service idea, new systems idea, new people idea, and then best performance and service take home and rescheduling for the week. And make sure that what you're looking for, what your goals are, or what your ideas for making your business better, and make sure we give recognition to that. Magic memory, this is something that you want to create magic in some way. And some people call them energizers. Steve, you want to talk about that for a little bit?
An energizer is just, we do it before any break in a meeting. And it's just a way to take some energy or some extra thought into a break. It can be a topic. For example, we'll go one whole 2-day session with everybody's commenting on what the culture of the company has done in their lives. What does the culture mean to you, or how has it affected? How has it changed you? Another could be favorite song and why. What's a song that spoke to you and why? Another could be what's a favorite passage? What's a favorite book? What was a defining moment for you? And it's limited to no more than 5 minutes. And so it's got to be part of your agenda, part of the time frame. When we've had a chance to do one of the break rituals, there's a counting down time clock right there that shows you. And it can be 5 minutes. They want it to be 5 minutes, or
well, you
it
could
can
also
be less, but not
you
over.
could also do things like that are a little bit individually based. But you could also say, let's go around the room and say, it's going to be movie day, Hollywood day. What's your favorite movie and why? And just keep going quickly around. And it's things that you learn. It could also be what you don't know about me, what you would never know about me, like what do I collect, or what's my favorite way to spend a day off. I mean, just create something.
Yeah, we've also done 2 truths and a lie. So everybody says 3 things. So they say 3 things about themselves. 2 of them are true, 1 of them's a lie.
And you have to guess which one's a lie?
Yes.
Okay. So those are fun things too, but create something that they look forward to that. At our house, it seems like every time we're together with my sister's kids, one of the things that we do is, what is that, Steve? The name game, right?
Yeah, it's famous people, and you've got to come up with a famous person whose first name starts with the last name of the person before you.
And so then if you do a double like Marilyn Monroe, then it goes back and it switches and we go in a circle, and the kids just love it. And I'm thinking, God, we've done this so many times. This can be more ridiculous. But every time we're together, someone says, you want to play the name game? It's usually Emma that says it. Create a magic memory with your staff. Now, it's not what we just said, but it could be a version of something like that they say, we have fun with this. And I think that creates something special. Another thing you can do is create special guests. Someone could come in. You could have a customer come in. You could have the manufacturers come in. You could have another business come in that maybe you're partnering with, or maybe you want to hear how their best ideas or best practices are from another business. But how do we do what we do and the impact that we have on other people, whether it's vendors, neighbors, and of course our own customers, that can create some of this. And I love that, because when someone comes in, even into our company, even it's for, we have a couple special guests coming in tomorrow, I believe, or Friday, and we're having Zizor come in to talk to our consultants. So Zizor is coming in to say, these are the great points about Zizor, and this could help your customers, and blah, blah, blah. that's a special guest, and that is scheduled for our time on Friday. You don't have to always do it, but you can do it on occasion, and it adds even more width to your meetings and to the relationships and what they can expect from your meetings.
That was a surprise, Terry, you just gave away.
It was? Yeah. Seriously? Okay, never mind.
That's okay.
All right. Visual timeline. You want to give them something, and I'm just giving you how this could look. All you do is do the next maybe 6 or 8 months, and here we did two trimesters, September, October, November, December. You could do education that's coming up in one color, maybe a service promotion, a take-home promotion. Maybe it's going to be a VIP night or philanthropic, and it's all different colors so they see what you're working on. You've got to present them with the visual timeline going out. We have our manufacturers automatically do it, and because they have bi-monthly promotions, we also have our calendar that we put out a year in advance. But at the same time, we also have other things that are going on, and I like seeing a visual because that's how I am. I think there's a lot of hairdressers that are visual too. Now, Steve only needs to hear it. He's very audio-based. But there's a lot of people that say, can I see it so I can kind of plan where we're going, what we're working on? And also lets them know how you are in charge of what the future of that business is. They want to know they're in good hands. And some of the times a visual timeline is a great way for them to see it. Also, do you think they'd share that with their families? Of course they would, because they'd be proud. These are all the things that we're doing over the next 8 months in our salon, on top of which is servicing our guests beautifully, professionally, with expectations of performance. Steve?
I think that, again, this is something, Terry, that you do really, really well. And you kind of lead with your timeline in a lot of cases. And it does help those that are around you to know the types of things that we're working on and what's coming ahead. And I think that, like you've said many times, when you allow people to come to their own conclusions, 9 times out of 10 it's negative. And when people know what you're working on, it definitely eliminates fear because they can see. People fear what they don't see or understand. And when they know what direction leadership is going, it does. I won't say it always brings comfort. Sometimes if it's the right kind of things that are on your visual timeline, it should scare a little bit to say, oh my God, we're going to do that, and that's coming, and will I be ready? Am I part of it? All of those types of things are natural responses, but still something, again, that you do really, really well, and I'm more likely to speak it than I am to write it or put it into this format. But I love that you do it. So
the next part is what's the needs list? What are we working on? And this kind of goes back to what will make the boat go faster, which what we've covered in other e-learning is. And a question that I always heard when I was with Pillsbury is, if we had this in place, we would have been able to service our guests better. Now that was even before computers and everything. We had CRMs, but it didn't give us anything at a glance. We had to do most of our work manually. What will make our boat go faster right now? And it could be where our take-home is located. It could be how we're checking a guest in. It could be the bottlenecks in the shampoo room. What will make our boat go faster? And that means where we'll be able to create more traffic, where we'll be able to have more services, where our service dollar will be able to be enhanced. Maybe it's our software that's not being able to handle the add-ons at the last minute. Does our shampoo need to be a signature shampoo? How are we going to create noise? And one of the ways that I think is still a problem, it's a benefit of our business, but it's also one that kicks us in the tail all the time, is we get so comfortable with our customers that we've lost our objectivity of what we can be. Because as soon as you get too comfortable, it limits your thinking. It limits your thinking on where can I go with that guest. Because it's almost as if the relationship plateaued and I don't want to push anymore. And so when we get too close, we lose our objectivity, as I said. But what is going to make the boat go faster in this situation? And we have to say, what drove us nuts? Now I always said, when there's a frustration, when did it get crazy? Like at PSC, I couldn't get a hold of the education department and I really needed to schedule a class. And I couldn't get anyone in education. Guess what? Now in our software that our salespeople use, they don't have to call education. They can just put the request through. So that was a way when they said, when I hear frustration or are they ever there, even though they're facilitating events, they wanted someone at their desk. Well, now we took that problem away. What is one of the frustrations that you hear over and over and over again? I'll give you another one. Because our software is inventory-based and we're a wholesale person, checking out with us at the space is miserable. And we're still trying to figure out how do we do a point of sale that will be less painful from a wholesale standpoint versus a retail standpoint, And so that is something that weighs on me all the time, that I think it's painful to do business with us at the space. We've got to figure out a way to make that easier. And only software enhancements are going to be able to help us do that. So what are the things that you hear that you think, oh, God, walked right into that again? One of them can be they hate the way they have to leave a tip in our business. Okay, so what are you doing about that? Don't ignore those. Try to keep those top of mind for you and let them know we're still working on that. We're still working on that.
Absolutely, and that's really the process of business. I mean, this is a question that should be every day, in every way, in every moment as a leader that we're looking for. What'll make the boat go faster? What'll make the salon grow faster? What'll make the process for the guest better, faster, more? How can we introduce a new dialogue, a new service, a new checkout procedure, a new check-in procedure, a new procedure for confirming appointments, a new procedure for cross-selling the menu, all of those things that can potentially bring in significant revenue, but more than that, increase your noise level and your footprint in the community. Mm-hmm. How can we do that so that when it comes to the kind of the shelf of the mind of the people that are in your community, when it comes to hairdressing, when it comes to hair salon, is your salon first on that shelf? Is your salon the one that people know?
They're talking about.
Absolutely.
Well, and here's another example. You know, I think sometimes our staff talks out of both sides of their mouth. You know, we need to advertise more, and we need to be present in the community. Okay, who would like to join me Thursday night? And everyone looks down. Okay, so which one is it? And you can't say we want to be better, and then you've got people that expect everyone else to be responsible for the better, not themselves. And you need all people in, all people willing, all people. And some people will do the very, very minimal in your business. And that's when you get hung up too. That's when you get hung up and say, gosh, I'm seeing the same faces over and over again. How do I create so this whole team is doing this together? I can't even imagine sometimes what it must be like to manage and try to direct an atmosphere of professional athletes. There was a guy, I was watching the baseball game the other night, and he was with I don't know who he was with, but he was traded to Miami. And the first thing that this guy, when he got traded, is they made him shave his beard off because this coach said, no facial hair, period. You want to play for me? No facial hair. If you don't shave it off, I'll bench you. There's your choice. What do you want to do? And the guy shaved his beard off. And they're dealing with egos, but you've got to have your standards and your non-negotiables. And your non-negotiables still have to be what you expect from the business. We're not doing staff meetings so they can change who your business is. They can give ideas, but ultimately this business is still yours and you carry all the risk. And you have to say, and you don't have to, when an idea comes up, put every idea into place. You can take every idea into consideration, but it ultimately still has to feel good for you. It still has to be a great decision for you. I mean, Steve and I have got issues, even in 25 years of working this closely together, we've got some topics that we absolutely disagree on. And for 25 years, I've been fighting the same fight on a topic and still not been able to convince him. And am I going to give up on that? No. But I still have to be able to fight my fight, because it still lessens me when I know that there's a need. And I can either put my hands up in the air and walk away and just be miserable all the time, or continue to fight the fight. Obviously, I've not said something that got his attention, or he hasn't said something to me that made me shut up. So the issue still stays open for 25 years. But that means both of us are still working on it mentally. And I'm not going to give up on it, and he's not either. We just haven't found the right way to convince the other person.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to technology. Brian, how are we doing on time? I don't have a clock right in front of me because my screen is...
3 minutes, Terry.
3 minutes?
Yes, and we haven't opened up for questions.
Good. So just talk about the technology side. If you want to, I guess, if you want to use something like PowerPoint and make that your presentation template, that'd be great. Also, if you've got people that absolutely can't be there for one way or another, you can use GoToMeeting or other ways for them to be able to be at the meeting without being absolutely physically present there. Do I recommend it? No, but if worst case scenario they had to log in and be able to witness like we're doing today, that's better than them not hearing it at all.
Well, I can tell you that one technology, thinking of people that have multiple salons and or you may need to be at a meeting and you're away. There's one meeting that I'm on every other week, and it would normally be either a webinar like what we're on today, an e-learning like what we're on, or it would be a conference call. And I'm not huge on conference calls personally, and of all the solutions I've seen, it's the one that I like the best, and it's called Zoom, Z-O-O-M. And here's what I like about it. You can actually see all the people that are in the meeting, one at a time. And then as they speak, it's their picture. You actually see them speaking. It's not just a photo of them. You're looking at them. You're interacting with them, and it's much more conducive to having a great meeting. Zoom does have a low-cost solution and a more expensive one depending on how often you use it. It is free to the users. Like I join a Zoom meeting, and it costs me nothing. So just throwing that out there.
Good. Open it up, Brian. Any questions?
Not at this time.
There's no written questions. Anybody have anything to say or a thought or something you thought about during our talk this morning? They're all still muted, Brian.
You'd like me to unmute them all?
Yes, if you would.
Okay.
Hi, Dolly.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Jaleesa.
Hi, everyone. Do you guys have anything you want to say or request any information? Okay, good. Well, with that...
Anyone with a burning topic for the future that you'd love for us to cover? All right.
Good.
You guys are either great listeners or we've put you all to sleep.
Yes, either one.
If you're sleeping, wake up. You have guests waiting in the front lobby. Thanks, everyone.
Wait a minute. Our next e-learning is on October 12th, and it's Develop the Magic, Manage the Talent. So it's exciting. That'll be a great topic. Have a great month, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.
Enjoy. Thank you.
Bye-bye.